Gorilla Monsoon didn't leave the ring because he wanted to. He left because his knees quit on him, his back was screaming, and Vince McMahon Sr. didn't want him face first in the canvas every week. So instead of slamming people, he started talking about them. Commentary was his second act, and it was brutal, honest, and loud enough to make everyone pay attention. At first, it was awkward. Vince yelling from behind the camera, Pat Patterson cracking wise, Gorilla trying to make sense of it all. It sounded like a wrestling show, if the show was actually a hostage negotiation. Then Jesse Ventura rolled in, and everything changed. Two egos, one mic, arguing like they owned the universe. Nothing scripted, nothing polite, nothing fake. The magic? They respected each other too much to lie. And the audience? They ate it up. Gorilla didn't need to wrestle to dominate anymore. He just needed a booth and a guy dumb enough to argue with him live. By the late 70s, Gorilla Monsoon's body was done. Knees shot, back screaming, and the ring looking like a personal torture chamber. He couldn't throw anyone, he couldn't take a bump, and Vince Sr. still wanted him around because, let's face it, he was good TV even lying down. So the booth became his new ring. At first, it was awkward. He sounded like a giant reading the phone book while someone threw punches behind him. Fans didn't care. They trusted him. He'd been there. He'd slammed people. He'd broken arms. He'd eaten chair shots that would put anyone else in a coffin. Gorilla figured out quickly that the mic wasn't about acting cool. It was about authority. Call a cheat a cheat. Call a move disgraceful. Remind everyone watching that the business had rules, even if the wrestlers didn't. Early partners included Vince McMahon Jr., Pat Patterson, and a few rotating names. Guys who brought energy, jokes, or chaos. Gorilla? He brought judgment. Every match had a moral compass, and he was it. By the time Jesse Ventura arrived in '82, Gorilla had mastered the booth. He knew how to control the conversation, how to elevate the talent beside him, and how to make the audience listen without screaming over them. He didn't just survive the transition from wrestling to commentary, he dominated it. And make no mistake, the booth wasn't safe. You either matched his authority or you looked like a fool. Ventura was about to test that in ways Gorilla hadn't faced since stepping into the ring. When Gorilla first shared a booth with Vince Jr., it was like watching two lions argue over who gets the last steak. Vince had that over-the-top, game show energy, all smiles, all sales pitch. Gorilla had that old-school, shut the hell up and call the match energy. They clashed instantly. Vince was trying to hype the brand. Gorilla was trying to protect the business. But here's the thing. Gorilla made Vince better. He forced him to sound legit. You could hear Gorilla roll his eyes every time Vince screamed, "What a maneuver," like a kid describing fireworks. Gorilla would just slide in with that calm, disappointed dad tone. "Will you stop?" 3 words, and Vince sounded like an intern on probation. They somehow made it work. The dynamic was gold. Vince was the hype. Gorilla was the credibility. One guy sold the circus, the other made you believe the tent wouldn't collapse. And off camera, respect. Real respect. Vince trusted Gorilla more than anyone. He gave him the headset, the booking input, and later, the corporate seat. Because Gorilla could balance chaos with sanity, and Vince needed that to keep from losing his damn mind. Their chemistry built the foundation for every commentary team after them. And when Ventura stepped in next, he didn't just fill a seat. He walked into their house, and Gorilla wasn't about to hand over the remote. If you're still here, congrats. You officially lasted longer than any of Vince's commentary partners. Hit like before Gorilla yells, "Will you stop?" at me. Subscribe now, because next, we're diving into when Jesse Ventura showed up, turned up the volume, and made every broadcast feel like a bar fight. When Jesse Ventura joined Gorilla in the booth, it wasn't commentary anymore. It was combat with microphones. Ventura strutted in like a rock star who'd just discovered adjectives. The guy dressed like he was auditioning for Mad Max 4, called everyone brain dead, and thought every heel was a misunderstood genius. And Gorilla? He treated Jesse like an unvaccinated conspiracy theory. The chemistry was chaos, and that's why it worked. Ventura would brag about the villains, flex his ego, and poke the bear every damn sentence. Then Gorilla would fire back with that calm, cutting tone that said, "You're the dumbest genius I've ever met." They roasted each other for sport. No notes, no scripts, just live venom. Jesse, "Gorilla, you wouldn't know talent if it slapped you." Gorilla, "That explains why I can't see you." Crowd in the truck, losing it. It was the perfect clash. Ventura the showman, Gorilla the anchor, and they respected each other enough to never pull a punch. Backstage, it was mutual. They were friends. But the minute those headsets went on, It was war. Real tension, real timing, zero fake laughs. Fans didn't just listen. They picked sides. Were you Team Gorilla, the voice of reason? Or Team Jesse, the egomaniac heel supporter with better hair than half the locker room? Together, they defined the WWF sound of the 80s, and when Jesse left, the booth felt quieter. Because nobody could push Gorilla that far and survive the conversation. Before Gorilla and Jesse ran the booth, there was the weird era, the commentary buffet nobody asked for. Pat Patterson was first. Pat had a chemistry with Gorilla. If by chemistry you mean two guys politely talking over each other. Pat would giggle, slip into French, and forget to call the finish. Gorilla would just stare at him like, this is why we needed closed captions. Then of course we have Lord Alfred Hayes, the politest man to ever get bullied by sound waves. He'd whisper about extraordinary athleticism, and Gorilla would bulldoze over it with a deep, New York, oh, would you stop? Hayes would smile like a hostage trying to negotiate with charm. It was the strangest duo in the WWF history. Nobody knew who was supposed to be the straight man, because none of them were standing up straight after Gorilla's verbal body slams. Every broadcast felt like a job interview that kept going wrong. Still, Gorilla gave them space. He knew they weren't Jesse. Hell, he knew nobody was Jesse. But these early partnerships helped him find that trademark tone. That sarcastic, I'm too old for this energy that made him sound like every dad watching Hulk Hogan flex at Thanksgiving. These were the test runs, the warm-ups, the awkward first dates before the perfect match. Because once Bobby Heenan arrived, the game changed again, and Gorilla finally had someone who could throw heat and take it. When Bobby the Brain Heenan joined Gorilla Monsoon on commentary, wrestling TV didn't get funnier, it got meaner. Heenan walked in like the class clown who just realized the teacher can't fire him. He didn't care about rules, stories, or staying on topic. He was there to make himself laugh, and to make Gorilla lose his mind. Their chemistry was instant chaos. Bobby would insult everyone, trip over his own logic, and still somehow win the argument. Gorilla didn't try to compete, he just demolished him with tone. That slow, disappointed dad voice. Will you stop? It hit harder than any punch Heenan ever took in the ring. The insults were surgical. Heenan called faces ham and eggers. Gorilla fired back like a prosecutor with perfect timing. It wasn't fake heat. It was a friendship so strong they could annihilate each other on live TV and still laugh backstage. And behind the laughter was respect. Gorilla protected Heenan when he was hurting. Heenan said, Gorilla was the best partner I ever had. You could tell, the way they paused for each other, let jokes breathe, then twisted the knife right after. They didn't call matches. They ran the show. Fans tuned in less for the wrestling, more for the roast. Every brain comment set up a Gorilla punchline, and every Gorilla sigh made Heenan double down harder. One guy roasting, one guy reacting, both unstoppable. When Bobby left, Gorilla lost more than a partner. He lost the guy who could make him laugh while keeping kayfabe alive. Gorilla Monsoon didn't just survive wrestling, he evolved it. He went from throwing guys around in smoky arenas to controlling the entire tone of the WWF with one voice. From Vince to Ventura to Heenan. He made legends sound better just by sitting next to them. He wasn't just commentary, he was credibility. And if you thought his chemistry with Jesse was wild, wait until we dive into the full war with Bobby the Brain Heenan. Because that wasn't commentary. That was live comedy with headsets and insults. And Gorilla never missed a cue. Thanks for watching.